Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
So, Teresa, I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but I was looking at the paper this week, and I think the article said here in Virginia, there have been like 58 or 59 deaths in the city of Richmond.
In the city of Richmond.
Richmond. And all of them have been African Americans.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that just blew me away every week.
Yeah.
And then it talked about for the state of Virginia, there have been for the total numbers of deaths from the virus, 60% have been African American.
Oh my goodness. And what is the percentage of Blacks in Virginia? Do you know?
I don't
total.
But I know
what percent of the population do we make up?
I can't remember what they said in the article, but I do know we're a minority in Virginia.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But in the city of Richmond, we're at maybe like 48% or something. But yeah, 100%.
And all of the deaths.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure in that article they talked about the fact about our health, right?
Right.
It being
everything that's been everywhere. How are the pre-existing conditions are just putting us at greater risk. That's just been everywhere. And it's like we've talked about, and we know that it's like, well, when a catastrophe happens, like they tell you to have X number of months of savings, because if something catastrophic happens to your family. Well, parallel that with not thinking about money, but if something happens, you can't wait to get help. It's you can't then somehow put yourself on an accelerated rate of wellness. It's
right.
In the midst of a crisis.
So it's like which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Because unfortunately, and I say that because it's like, when do you do it, right? Like and it matters about the income. It matters about. And I was talking to a friend this week, and we were actually discussing our podcast. And she said, well, Teresa, the majority of the folks who work healthcare, who are working in these nursing homes, who are working in food service, those are the jobs that we have.
Oh, absolutely.
And those are the jobs that we get, so where do we start, because we got to put ourselves in a better position, and people, what she also said was that there are people like in her family that said, if I don't work, I don't get paid, right?
Absolutely. And so, Teresa, what I'm saying does not in any way negate the fact that we are at significant disadvantage. I get that. But what I've also thought about, though, is some of it is just us not getting the education about what we can do to improve our health and wellness, no matter the income level. And some of that is just us dealing with so many stressors of living every day. We just don't have the luxury of tuning into this information. We're trying to survive. But when you talk about the income disparity, this is the reality. And I've talked about this before. One thing that made a tremendous impact on me when I was a young woman was my husband's aunt, who was a domestic. She cleaned houses, okay?
Yeah.
Did not have a lot of money, but she was quite educated in terms of how to take care of herself. Never finished school, any high school, didn't have a high school diploma, although to her credit, and I'm very proud to say, probably when she was about 60, she finished her GED, excuse me. But this is the thing. She started learning about how to take care of herself, her health. And my aunt Sina, my husband's aunt, whom I love dearly, she, being a domestic, she would shop at health food stores. This was 30 years ago. But you know what she did? She said, you know what, Lou, I don't care what I can afford to buy if it means that I eat one piece of chicken versus 2 or 3. But I've got the highest quality organic chicken that I can put in my body, that's what I'm buying. She said, I don't have a steak, but maybe once every 3 months. That's when I can afford the best cut of beef. And that's what I do. And she taught me, and it was mind blowing to me at that time, because another thing she did, she disciplined her body. She disciplined her body because of her income level. Teresa, this blew me away. She would fast. She said, I can't afford to eat like this every day. So I have built into my lifestyle. I fast 1 day a week. I go without so that I can afford, when I do eat, I'm eating the best food out there. And my husband's his aunt lived just like she was 99 with basically no health problems. So some of this is the income disparity, and some of it is we cannot let ourselves off the hook about this, about what we are putting into our body.
Right. Lou, and that is an amazing story and testimony. But the reality of it is the education. And it's just like people just don't know. People don't know.
Right.
And so it still goes back to being, disadvantaged in some ways, because they don't get access. People don't get access. We don't get access to the information until it's too late. And then it's like, where do I begin? It's overwhelming.
Well, it is. It is. But I think that, and one other thing that made an impact on me, and the struggle is real for me with health, but one other thing that made a tremendous impact on me as well was the fact that my dad died when I was 3. And when he died, my mother used to tell us all the time when we were growing up, was that she would live to see us grow up, because she did not want us to also not have a parent.
Right.
That's all she cared about. And that was her prayer. We heard her say it. We heard her, just be in fervent prayer about, I want to raise my kids. And so that made an impact on me, because I thought, you know what? I'm a mom. I prefer to raise my own child.
Yeah. Right.
I'm here for my child. May not be the best mom, but the reality is I still believe I'm the best mom he could ever have, because that is my kid. And so if we think about that, we have to think about, okay, well, you want to be here so that you can continue to be the integral part of your family that you are. And it's hard, but like I said, we can't let ourselves off the hook. Because some of this is, walking is free. Get out there. Take a few steps. And your schedule may be difficult. Stressors are difficult. But think of the larger picture. And it's just it's so upsetting to see those type of numbers. And also, not that I want anything to happen to any group of people or anyone, but other people just aren't that stressed as we are right now in the midst of this crisis, because there is almost a belief that, well, if I get it, I'm surviving. Because
absolutely.
And that's our story as a community.
Right. And that puts us even at a further disadvantage, because stress, you can't heal when you're stressed.
Right.
So that adds to it. But you're absolutely right. They have a luxury that we don't, because we've been told. But let me tell you something. If we get it, we have to believe that we're going to recover from it. Because
there have been some stories of recovery. I was ecstatic when the news came on this week that one of our local, state legislators, Delegate Dolores McQuinn, she and her family, unfortunately, got the virus. She and her daughter and husband, and they survived. When I saw that, I was like, finally, some good news of survival from our community. And that's such a strong statement, and sharing her testimony to say, you know what? First of all, we're hoping no one gets it. But just like you said, if you get it, you have to believe you're going to fight it and overcome it. And her family
Yep.
did.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, praise God for that one.
Yeah.
But I didn't listen to a lot of news this week. Frankly, because it was starting to stress me out a little bit too much, and I'm trying to reduce that. Reduce stress in my own life. But it's crazy, It is it's crazy. And it's where do you begin? Like you said, walking is free. And the internet has some amazing resources, but unfortunately there's also some bad stuff out there, so we have to be able to discern.
Right, you're right, there's some bad stuff out there, but sometimes we make this more complicated than it is, because listen, start with something I struggle with. And again, I said when we started this podcast, I was going to be honest about it. Portion control. Eat less. Start looking at that and look at your serving sizes.
Serving sizes.
Really one serving, or you unwittingly actually consume 3 or 4.
Right.
Those are things that are within our control.
I'm laughing, Lou, because honestly, I thought you were going to say sugar. You don't have any trouble with portion control.
You know what? You're telling these people I don't have trouble. I do have trouble, people. I don't know what's wrong with her.
You don't have
It's being so. Listen, I'm trying to save lives. Don't you minimize this? Yes.
Right. I'm not minimizing it, Lou. Your portion controls are fine. It's your sugar. The sugar.
Listen, but I'm not talking about sugar today. I'm talking about what we can do. You know what? I'm not even going there with you.
But you're right. I digress. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that.
What we can
control.
Control, because we're in the middle of this pandemic now, today, unfortunately, but there will always be, it may not be a pandemic, but we will always be exposed to more stress in this. You're always going to have more to deal with. And that is our reality. I am not saying it's fair, right, any of that. I'm just saying, when you know something is what it is, okay, what can we control in this to try to survive? I mean,
let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about it. You've hit on a good one. Walking is free. And another good one, portion control. We can do that. And we also know that processed foods are bad for us. Let's try to get more fresh food into our diet. Let's cut out all of you don't have to cut out all of it, but fast food just once a week instead of multiple times a day. That's something we can control. Not only that, walking is free. When you're talking about in terms of exercise, let's get back to the old, back in the day in high school when you had gym class. None of that was done with equipment. It was done exercise, jumping jacks, jump rope, air boxing, running with your kids, just there are things we can do to move our bodies, and that's what it's all about.
Well, because when I said earlier that we're in the middle of this crisis today, but there will always be something. When I read that article or another article, and I probably should do like you, pull back a little bit, because there's a lot of information coming at you, and all of this stuff. But another thing that I read said that, okay, we have the underlying conditions of hypertension, diabetes, and then it said what they're finding is that even aside from this virus, what the studies show is when strokes occur, it's like other people, other groups may have a stroke and there will be some impact. But when we have a stroke, it's catastrophic. They were looking at the research saying that if we have a stroke, worse when we have.
Why is that? I haven't even heard that, Lou.
That is some scary stuff.
It is some scary stuff. But I will tell you, a lot of the healthcare providers, I mean, there's another place we can start. We need to encourage our children to be good in school and to study. We need more Black doctors, honestly, because there is with doctors. There's actually a book out there. I can't remember the name of it. We read it in book club, but it was written by a
You better
black.
not be on here trying to plug your daughter because she's going to men's school. Just, I mean, really, is that what this is about?
He can
Always
help us.
okay. Yeah. Shout out. Really, Teresa? Really?
No, I wasn't even thinking that. But let me tell you about this book. So we did it in book club. It was written by a black doctor, a Hispanic doctor, and an Hispanic doctor. Mm-hmm. And what they talked about was unconscious bias within the medical field. So they had stories of, they actually had case studies where a black woman and a white woman both come in with the same complaint, say heart, chest pains. They will tell the black doctor, the black patient, female patient, was told, go home and stop stressing. The white female patient was given more x-rays, and they delved deeper into her situation and saved her life, where the black patient would die because she would go home and have a heart attack. And so a lot of it is that, Lou, we might go to the doctor. We got to own our health. We got to own it. And if you don't feel good, you have to be persistent, and you have to tell them, no, you're not going to send me home with aspirin. And because there's a problem.
Well, and you're right. That's what I was about to say, though, Teresa, that, I've seen those studies, too, about bias, and it's real. But one thing that you taught me through the years is that then what in this process, when you know that exists, what can you control? You can control, okay, I'm going to go armed with knowledge. I'm going to go armed with the fact that this is my body. I'm going to be respectful to people in their roles, but I'm going to request, no, you know what? I've had this feeling for 3 or 4 days. This is what I would like you to do. And,
go ahead.
You have to take some ownership of that. And I don't think there's any way around it.
Plus, we need to know that just because we've had Dr. Joe for 10 years doesn't mean we have to keep them.
Right.
You interview them just like you're paying them. They work for you. And if you're not getting the care that you think you should be getting, go somewhere else. Go to another doctor. I will tell you this quick story. I think I've talked about this before. I was having some serious pains in my joints. And I went to a doctor, a specialist, and I went in, and it was a referral. I didn't know this guy from anybody, but he had no bedside manner. And he was so scary. Basically, he told me I was going to be disabled within 2 years. What? That was, he did. He told me based on what he was seeing in my blood, that I'd be disabled in 2 years, and I'd be using a walker or a wheelchair. And that was about 5 years ago. So wow. I sat in his office and literally cried. He walked out. His nurse came in and told me, oh, it's going to be okay. We have amazing medicine these days. The technology is awesome, and you're going to be fine. And I cried, and I got up they let me get myself together. I walked out of that doctor's office. I sat in my car and cried some more. And then I put my big girl panties on, and I said, this ain't going to be my story. Yeah. He is wrong, and he's the devil. Get thee behind me.
Dang it. That's right.
And I'm like, no, so you can't accept, you have to look at a second opinion. You have to get second opinion. You have to figure out, why is this happening to me? Right. What do I need to change in my life to make this better? It's
so true. And that is a wonderful story. I'm sad you had to go through that, but there is a message in that. But right now we continue to talk about this COVID-19, and there's two different schools of thought on that for podcasters. Some say, oh no, get away from it. Just pretend like, enough already. Don't talk about that. Your listeners are hearing enough about it. But for our community, we're just saying, you know what, we have to talk about it because it's COVID-19 today, but it's going to be something else. And there is always something for us. So
Right.
the point of this discussion is not so much the virus. Please hear us. It's about we got to check ourselves and what we do to do what we can to try to stay healthy or to get healthier. And
Right.
there's, Teresa's right. The media will try to tell you there are all these resources out there and you got to join a gym and you got to buy all of this stuff to be healthier. You know what? Don't buy into that either. There are some ways that some things we can control that won't break the bank, that will require a bit of effort, a bit of discomfort on our part for us to get healthier. And so that's what we're talking about today, to just say, please hang in there. But, let's just be honest with ourselves to try to do a better job to get healthier. Not only because of this virus, but we don't know the next thing. And when you know that you're already at a disadvantage, that's even more reason for you to be diligent about not only your health, but in other
Absolutely.
of your life, So that's our reality. And that's really all we wanted to chat about today, to just say, please take care of yourself, stay healthy, and stay safe.
And we know that it's difficult. It is hard to begin a program when you've not done it. It can be overwhelming. We understand it. But if you have some specific questions and if we can help you with resources, please email us at earringsoff.com. We're willing, here, and ready, waiting to help you guys in a very specific or real way.
Yeah, absolutely. Always. Because here in Earrings Off,
when we know better, we do better.